Chefs of Reddit, what's one rule of cooking amateurs need to know? I worked in a kitchen for a year and a line cook always tasted to make sure it was good, even if he cooked a dish a million times he would. Faux manager had to manage the kitchen for 1 week. He comes in one day to our cook tasting food and loses his shit. Tells the guy to stop stealing company food and that he'll be fired if he does it again. Cook tries to explain why he does it and why it's important. Faux manager doesn't want to hear any of it. 2 days later same manager comes back and complains that a certain dish doesn't taste as good as it did before. It was a no shit Sherlock moment for that cook and a reason to never let the faux manager near the kitchen again. Fucking faux never knows what's going on in the kitchen. I will say I had 4 managers at this one place and 3 of them I always respected the most because if we were getting behind they would throw the apron on over their nice clothes and get in the trenches with us. They were leaders, not bosses. I will always respect that. Edit, before this gets too much traction, I still have a lot of love for faux. You have to deal with the public. I don't want those problems. I'm not built like that. I have another story about the same faux manager, that ties into what you're saying. I got called in on my day off, to help. Usually I start work around 11 AM but I was getting in at 1 PM, in basically the kitchen bish and do everything. Today I'm working dish pit. We get to going home time which was 10 PM. Surprise surprise we still have work to do, I'm a full 2 hours behind, but hey I was busting ass all day so I reasonably have another not 2 hours to go. That faux manager comes back and asks why I'm not done. I explain the situation and how I got in late, say I have about an hour left to go, but if he wants to help we can get it done in 20 to 30 minutes. He is furious that I would suggest him doing kitchen work. The next day I come in only to be told I can't work today, because the faux manager threw a shit fit about me not being done and asking him to help. My kitchen manager I respected and liked, didn't defend me which felt so out of character for him. Nevertheless never came in on a day off again. Learned later he was pressing for a raise and faux manager was friends with the owners, makes sense still felt shitty. That faux manager was total shitheel. That being said, a lot of times inexperienced cooks won't let their pan get hot enough. Obviously you need to know how your particular pans work on your particular stovetop, but so many dishes are ruined from the start because people just light a stove, wait 5 seconds, and toss their ingredients in. You will never get a good sear when your ingredients are basically boiling in their own moisture. This is definitely something I always keep in mind. I'm a novice, amateur, whatever you want to say. When I cook something, I prefer just high enough heat to where it cooks without creating a plume of smoke in the kitchen. Also gives me time to clean whatever I just used to prepare it before cooking as well. A big part of this is because cooking shows tend to put the heat higher, the directors feel as if the sizzling and smoking is more appealing to the viewer. People like Alton Brown, Rachel Ray and Michael Simon have commented on this many times. However, you generally want the heat a couple notches below what you see on their shows. In fact, an episode actually takes several hours to film. The food you're seeing is made by chefs in a separate location. That's why the food doesn't appear burnt, it's made by someone else and repeatedly replaced between takes. Not up, but towards the end I will taste my food and if it seems like it's just a bit flat or one-dimensional, not having much depth of flavor and not needing more salt, I'll add an acid, though I often add it near the start anyway. The kind you use depends on what you're cooking and kind of comes with experience and familiarity, but it's pretty easy to use your common sense. For example, rice wine vinegar for Asian cooking, lime juice for a lot of Thai dishes or if you're cooking with prawns and chilies, lemon juice for fish or pasta dishes, malt vinegar/tomatoes in Indian style curries etc. Just wait until he gets his sense of smell back and a ton of foods smell like ammonia or literal garbage now. Yeah, that's fun. It's been 7 months FFS, just let me enjoy peanut butter again. I'm in same club, had it last October and I can't recognize a lot of scents anymore. And I don't smell the bad smells anymore, it all just smells like burnt oil, everything from garbage to fecal matter anyway. My tastes have all changed a lot, but the main thing I've noticed is that food doesn't taste as good, like I can faintly taste the flavors and can mostly make them out/remember the taste but it's like I'm eating through a filter and not getting everything. Similar here, had COVID in March, mild case all things considered. I feel like lots of smell/tastes are still either muted, distorted, or non-existent. I can't smell farts or trash, coffee smells kinda putrid, most meals seem like there's something missing. Fingers crossed it's just a really slow recovery and not permanent. I had COVID early December and just last week started to be able to smell my own shit again. It smells the same as onions. Which also kinda smells like a bunch of other things that vaguely resemble urine or ammonia. I've finally gotten to the point where everything with oil doesn't taste/smell like a rancid grease trap, so that's nice. Also, don't be afraid to poke and prod at it. I feel like people think the process is sacred and you can't shape/flip/feel/touch things while you cook them. The more you are hands-on, the more control you have. Edit, a few people have pointed out that no, this does not include situations where you are trying to sear something. Ever try flipping a chicken thigh early? That's how you rip a chunk out of it and leave it glued to the pan until it's burnt. I should have clarified, dry sauté for the 5 minutes they're still. Sprinkle of salt, then a couple tablespoons of butter when you start to move them again. With a well-seasoned pan, you won't need oil. The heat will go into driving the water out of the mushrooms. With oil, they won't dry out as thoroughly. I have a container of lemon pepper, which is pepper and salt infused with lemon flavor. It actually has more salt than pepper, but I think it's marketed as pepper because a lot of home cooks avoid salt, to the detriment of flavor. I have relatives who refuse to add any salt at all to their dish, but they use lemon pepper because they don't read the content label and treat the spice as a magic flavor enhancer. It's not that magic. My mom, God bless her, was always bad at this. I had to drive my dad to the hospital on Christmas to get stitched up after plunging into the sink to do dishes only to grab the blade of the carving knife. She doesn't do it anymore. And then there's my mother who dropped a knife into the sink when the garbage disposal was running and tried to catch it. Yeah, pretty much everything went wrong. It fell handle first into the disposal and started spinning right as her hand got close to it and it sliced a chunk off her knuckle. It hurts how true I know this. My dad is a head chef and a damn good one at that. My entire life until 12 years old was practically devoid of a father figure. He was never home. Our Christmas day was on the 26th and it was the one day I got to look forward to, not for the presents or the food or the whatever else, but it's the day I got to properly see and speak to my dad. Where I could go in the back garden and kick a football around or play catch or just sit and talk. My dad's job was what kept our life moving due to us being less well off than others, but caused my mom to become so lonely and depressed at her own life, loving someone who seemingly was never able to be around, getting home when she was asleep and leaving the house before she was awake caused her to break down. They eventually separated because of it. I despised my mom for separating with my dad because he became my icon. Someone who I know now doesn't live up to my expectations cause he's human, and despite never being home, I gave him such an adoration and respect, it hurt my mom and him even more. There is a happy end to the story though. My dad moved and got a job working at a school as a caterer. He said many times it isn't as flattering and doesn't pay nearly as much and the work isn't the challenge he wanted when he decided cooking is his career, but his hours are 8 to 4 and he can spend time with his now fiancée. He can see me and my sister and, if I had to be honest, my parents separating was the best thing that has ever happened to my family. Until COVID, my sister and I saw him every 2 weeks, spending every other weekend at his place, and now after COVID, while we see him less, we've decided instead to go do some fun things. We've seen Bletchley Park, gone on long hiking walks and been to zoos. All sorts of things. My relationship with my mom is also great. She got a new partner as well. There is a moral to this story though. It will hurt you and the people around you if you become good in the industry. You'll make good money but as Vodomarvel said, you won't have a social life. Speaking of kicking in. On first full-time cooking job I had a knife spin and fall off the counter. My stupid reflex was to put my foot under it like a damn hacky sack to keep it from hitting the ground. Went through the shoe, somehow between my toes, into the sole somehow without cutting me. Lessons learned: 1. Let it fall. 2. Never set a knife down close to the edge or with the handle sticking out. 3. Hacky sack is not nearly as cool as it could be. Patience, planning, and good organization. Patience/planning, brine your chicken. Let the rice dry before you make fried rice. Slow cook your meats. Overall the actual time you invest is about the same but it requires some foresight. Don't expect to just grab a chicken breast out of freezer and be able to make a delicious meal in 20 minutes. A lot of the best dishes take some time to let the flavors do their work. Organization. It's a lot more enjoyable when you can focus on cooking instead of digging around for things you need or clearing space on your counter. Have a good set of glass Tupperware to save leftovers. Get stackable matching cookware that's easy to manage and store. Ziploc bags are great too. These things pay for themselves in giving you general sanity and making it more likely you will consume your leftovers and always have things in their place. Really think about what size you're cutting your vegetables in relation to cook time. It's better to have a perfectly cooked larger vegetable that you have to use fork and knife a bit to eat at the table than a bunch of overcooked, mushy bite-sized pieces. Generally speaking, the best simple preparation of cooking a vegetable is usually roasted on a sheet pan with olive oil, samp. And for God's sakes, make your own salad dressings fresh. It takes no time, you likely have what you already need in your pantry, and it tastes 10x as good as the crap in the bottle. You'll be surprised even how much better ranch dressing tastes if you get the dry seasoning packets and mix it with some fresh milk and mayo and let it set for 30 minutes in the refrigerator.